Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be completing this little picture here, so the little car picture. So this is the last one that we've got to do, so I'll go ahead, zoom you in and we'll get started. Okay, so the first colour that we're going to use is sky blue, and I'm going to use this for the background so that it matches this background that we did before. So I'll go ahead and start with that. So I wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Obviously it's Boxing Day today, so I'm slightly a bit late, but I hope that you all had a really nice time and enjoyed yourselves, whatever you was up to. Okay, so for the car, I've decided that we're going to do it orange. So I'm going to go ahead with the orange pencil and fill in all the sort of panels on the car first. And then we'll go ahead and add some shade into this after. I quite like orange cars, so I thought we would do this one orange. Make him nice and bright and cheerful. So next we're going to go in with blood orange, and this is going to be our shade colour. So I'm going to go ahead and add some shade into this where I think it would be a little bit darker. So the first place that I'm going to shade is here on the roof, because with all the stuff on top of the roof it would shade it a little bit. So I'll just go down and round where the little roof rack clips on and just add some shade to that. And along here. And then I think we'll do some shading underneath the windows and just slightly around this back edge. Do a little bit under that one. And we'll do the same for this one. And then here where the door join is, I'm going to go ahead and shade that all the way down and underneath as well. Just going to fill in that little bottom piece and then just lift the pressure to blend that out a little bit. I'm going to do some shading here where it meets the door, and then I'm going to bring that along and down the bonnet. And we'll put some down here. So we'll do the same for this bottom bit, we'll fill this bit in. And we'll shade underneath this bit here. And I think we'll shade above that bit there as well, just to give it a little bit more shading. We'll go over the wheel arch. We'll go over this wheel arch too. Okay, so going back in with orange, we're going to go ahead and fill in where we've left the lighter parts. So what I'm going to do first is just sort of take it over the blood orange and then just sort of lightly fill in where we've shaded. So sort of here where the shade's coming into the other colour. Just blend that together. I'll do the same for all the edges that we've done. And then here I'm just going to leave that little bit with the lighter colour just so that it looks like it's got a highlight on it. So I'll go ahead and go over this bit up here by the window, and we'll do all along here and in between the door. And we'll fill in this little boot completely. And we'll do the same here as what we did on the bonnet. So we'll just go around where we've added the shade in and darken that up a little bit, and then just bring the pressure off. And I'm just going to leave a little tiny bit in the middle where the light's catching. So again, we'll go around the edge here. And just leave a little bit there where the light's catching inside that door as well. I'm just going to go back in with blood orange because you can see here it looks very dark. You can actually see it's not blended together very well. So I'm just going to go over with light pressure and just add a little bit more colour to the top and the bottom to try and blend that out a little bit better so that there's not such a harsh line. And then going back in with orange, I'm just going to go ahead and go over this little lip here and just fill that in. And I'll fill this bit in here as well. And then I'm going to fill the middles of the wheels in with orange so that they match the car. And then going back in with blood orange, I'm just going to add some shade to that. So I'm going to shade this section on the sort of right hand side at the bottom just to darken that up a little bit. And then using orange again, I've just realised I've missed the light, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in the back of the light, and I'll do the same for this one here. Next, taking ginger, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the steering wheel inside of the car. So I'm just going to fill it in completely. Then taking periwinkle blue, I'm going to go ahead and add some blue to these windows so that they've got like a little bit of a blue tint to them. So again, I'm just using light pressure here to get some colour in the windows. And we'll do this bit here, this back window and the front window. And if you want a little bit more colour, just put a little bit more pressure on there and it'll darken that up for you. I've just realised that we've missed the little inside bits of the window, so I'm going to use blood orange and I'm going to fill them in just around the edge of the window. Do the same for this one. There we go. And then going back in with sky blue, I'm going to fill in this bit here, which is the sky, which somehow I managed to miss when I was doing the sky. So I'll just go ahead and fill that in. Okay, so for these inner wheel arches, I'm going to go ahead and put orange down first. So I'm just going to concentrate this sort of in the middle, which is where most of the light would catch it. So just using light pressure for that. And I'll do the same for this back one. And then taking blood orange, I'm going to fill in either end so that it looks like it's darker at the bottom and then getting lighter towards the top. So you just want to lift your pressure when you meet the orange so that it blends together nicely, and then you can just use normal pressure at the bottom to fill in the colour. So I'll do the same for this one. And then just going back in with orange, I'm just going to go over this little bit here where it meets the blood orange, just to make sure we've got no harsh lines. And then I think we'll use blood orange again to do the little handles so that they're a little bit darker as well. Okay, so next we're going to do the tyres. So I've chosen steel grey. So I'm going to go ahead and do a base coat on each of the tyres. And I'm going to go ahead and do these little bumpers as well, because I remember the really old sort of cars had like silvery bumpers. So I'm going to fill them in with the steel as well. Next, taking Koala Gray, we're going to go ahead and add some shade to this. So I'm going to add on these little bumpers some shade just to the bottom edge, just to darken that up a little bit. And I'll do the same for this one. Just take it slightly up and blend that out, and I'll just blend this little edge here as well. And then for the tyres, I'm going to go ahead and shade here right underneath where it meets the little wheel, and then just bring that down and out. Then you can just sort of lift the pressure as you come higher up the wheel, and then just a bit more pressure down here so that the darker colours at the bottom and at the back. And we'll do the same for this one. And then going back in with blood orange, I'm going to fill in this little bit on the end here where the lights are. So we'll do that this colour so that everything matches. So next, taking raw sienna, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the ground underneath the car. So it's going to be like a mud path or a mud lane. So I'm just going to go ahead and use light pressure and fill this all in. Okay, so next, taking cocoa brown, I'm going to go ahead and start doing some shading on the groundwork. So the first thing I'm going to do is sort of fill in between these little brown lines here and just make them look a little bit more like a mud splatter. And I'm going to fill in under this tyre as well and just bring that colour out. So do the same for this one, just sort of follow the lines and add a bit more colour to them. And then here underneath the car there would be a bit of a shadow, so I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of a shadow. So you just want to lift the pressure as you come away just to sort of blend it all together. And we'll do the same for this bit here. Then going back in with raw sienna, I'm just going to go over where we put the lighter bits and just go over this darker brown as well, just to make sure that it all blends well together. So next, taking pear green, I'm going to go ahead and fill in this grass part in the background. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this in using normal pressure. Then taking forest green, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of shade to the grass. So I'm going to go and sort of go over the lines that Rita's put in, just to make them a bit more defined. And I'm just taking them all the way up to the car, and I'll do the same for these ones. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of this darker colour over the pear green there, just to break it up a little bit so it's not all the same colour. And I think I'll just add a little bit of shade to the edge here behind the car, and then just lift the pressure to blend that out. Next, taking moss green, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the fern looking trees in the background. And then for these little swirly trees, I'm going to use pear green, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the outside edge of the swirl. And then going back in with forest green 614, I'm going to fill in the other edge, so that where we've put the darker colour, where we've put the pear colour we leave, and this will just fill in any of the white that's left on the little tree. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the other trees. So next I'm going to go back in with Koala Gray, and I'm going to fill in this little roof rack, just so that this is like a little bit darker. The next, taking flamingo pink, we're going to go ahead and fill in the suitcase. So we're going to have a nice bright pink suitcase. So I'm just going to go around all the little clasps and things on here, and I'm also going to fill it in under here because the suitcase would be right in the bottom. So all of this would be part of the suitcase. And then I'm just going to go back over it, but with a bit harder pressure, and just add some shading into it with the same colour. So sort of underneath here would all be a little bit darker. And then the bottom would be a bit darker. So we've got like a little tiny bit of light in there. All under here would be darker. And then we'd have this little patch in the middle that would be lighter. So then going in with our white quartz, I'm just going to go ahead and go over where we've left the lighter gaps, just to sort of blend it all together. So I'll just go ahead and go over this bit here, and it's just going to make it look like a bit more of a lighter pink. Next, taking fuchsia, which is a darker pink, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the handle. So I'm just going to fill this in completely. And I'm going to do the little clasps as well. So next I'm going to move on to this flower with the flower pot, and I'm going to take lime green and I'm going to fill in these leaves so it's going to be nice and bright. And then taking apple green, I'm going to add a little bit of shade into them just at the bottom where they're in the pot, just so that it looks like it's a little bit darker in there. Now for the pot, I'm going to use the same colours that we used for the car because I want that to sort of match. So I'm going to go in with orange and just do like a little base coat on the whole pot. And then going in with our blood orange, we're going to do some shading. So I'm going to shade the top one because that would be a little bit darker where the flowers are. And then I'm going to shade this side here, make this a little bit darker. So you want to just use sort of like normal pressure on the edge and then just sort of lift the pressure as you come towards the middle. Then going back in with orange, I'm just going to darken that edge up a little bit. So I'm still only using light pressure here just to blend it all together. I'm going to go back in with flamingo pink and I'm going to fill in this little love heart on the teapot. So I think we'll have a nice pink love heart on here. And I'm going to fill in this little tiny dot on the top. And then taking lilac, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the teapot itself. So I'm going to fill in this little tiny bit on the top here. And I'm going to fill in this bit around the love heart, and I'm just using light pressure for this just to sort of see what the colour's going to look like. And then I've picked orchid purple for the handle and the spout, so I'm going to again go in with light pressure so that we can sort of see what the colours look like together before we burnish it into the paper. I think that looks quite cute. So I'm going to go ahead and darken this up a little bit. So I'm going to darken the top bit and the bottom bit of the handle and then just lift the pressure and blend that together. And then I'll add some darker pressure or harder pressure to the bottom of this bit where it joins to the teapot, and then just lift the pressure up as you come towards the end. I'm going to use this to add a little bit of shade as well, so I'm going to do a little bit of shade in here where the teapot meets the teapot's top, the top of the teapot. And then I'll put a little bit along this love heart here and just around this bottom edge. Okay, so going back in with lilac, we're going to go ahead and fill the rest of that in. Okay, so next taking camel brown, we're going to make a start on the guitar. So I'm going to go ahead and just do like a light coat on this as well. Then taking raw sienna, I'm going to go ahead and add some shade into this. So I'm going to darken up this corner here, and I'm going to follow the line all the way along the edge of the guitar. And I'm going to fill in the bottom edge. So we'll just be left with like a little bit of lightness in the middle. We'll add some shade under here. And along here. And to this little top part. And then I'm going to go in with turmeric yellow just to make this look a little bit more yellowy, and I'm going to go ahead and just go over all of it with this yellowy colour. So it'll just sort of blend everything together and add a little bit more of a yellow tone to it. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the inside of the guitar with this as well. I suppose really the inside should be darker, shouldn't it? So we'll take a darker colour. So we'll go with cocoa brown and we'll fill in the inside of the guitar just with light pressure. Yeah, that looks better. I think it would be darker inside there. Next, I'm going to take a gold gel pen and I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the little plate that's on there. So I think that would look nice as like a shiny gold colour. And then I'm going to fill in the little turning bits at the top where you tune the guitar in. Next, taking crimson red, I'm going to use this to make a start on the handbag. So I'm going to go ahead and do some darker pressure here at the bottom because it would be a little bit darker because it's sort of covered by the teapot and the guitar. So I'll just run that all the way along the bottom edge and up this side. And then I'll just fill in this seam here. Then going back in with our white, I'm just going to go ahead and sort of go over this little bit here and drag a little bit of the red into it. So it should give it just like a little bit of a shine of a highlight on there. And then for the handles, I'm going to fill in the tops and the bottoms of them. So, well, not the tops and the bottoms, but both the bottom edges, I guess you would call it. Bring that round, and then when we come to the top here, this one behind I'm going to fill in darker, and then here I'm just going to lift the pressure, go back in with the white, and then just go over that bit with the white to pull the two colours together. Like so. So we've got like a little bit of a highlight on the handle as well now. And then for the buckle, I'm going to do with gold gel pen, just to give that like a little hint of gold. Next, taking Shamrock Green, I'm going to go ahead and fill in this behind the guitar, which I assume is like another suitcase. So we'll just go ahead and add this colour onto here. And I'm going to go around the guitar strings as well, because I don't really want to go over them. Then going in with deep teal, I'm going to add some shade to this. So I'm going to shade underneath here completely, because this would be a little bit darker because it's sort of pushed underneath. And then for this top edge, I'm just going to go along here where the teapot would be casting some shadow onto it. And then just lightly lift the pressure to blend that out. So next I'm going to do this fishing rod, and for this I'm going to use a silver gel pen because I want this to look like it's kind of like metallic-y. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill in where the rod would be and like these little dots on there. And we'll just fill in the little bait in the silver as well. Going back in with sky blue, I'm going to fill in these bits that I've missed here. So there's this little section here that I missed, and under here, and then all of this bit here would be blue. Okay, so let's make a start on this camera. So I think for the lens we'll use periwinkle blue. So just for the inside lens bit, I'll fill that one in with periwinkle blue. And I think we're going to have a pink camera, so I'm going to go in with flamingo pink, and I'm going to fill in the camera itself. So I'm going to avoid its little buttons and just make a start filling this in. So this is the last picture in this colour along, guys. So I've put a little post up to see which book you want us to do our next colour along in. So you have to make sure that you vote on that, and then we can sort of pick a page to do. So what I've done is just put like a little option to choose from different authors or illustrators. And then once you've picked which one, we'll then decide what page to do. So going back in with Fuchsia, which is our shade colour, we're going to go ahead and add some shade to this. So I'm going to shade the strap underneath here because it would be darker. And in between these leaves would be a bit darker, and then that top little bit there. Okay, and for the camera itself, I'm going to focus the shade on the bottom and then up this right hand side. So you just want to start to lift the pressure now just to blend this all together. And we'll add a little bit of shade on here too, and on the back bit there, and a little bit to these little buttons. Then going back in with Flamingo Pink, I'm just going to go ahead and go over where we've added the darker colour, just so that there's no sort of harsh lines where it's being blended together. And then I'm going to go in with Orchid Purple to do the area around the lens itself. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in. And then taking the gold gel pen again, I'm going to fill in the little buttons on the front of the camera. So now going in with our Posca pen, I'm going to add some highlights. So I'm going to go over and add a highlight in these windows. So I'm just going to take it straight over the steering wheel, because it would be over the steering wheel because the steering wheel's on the inside. And I'll do some for these windows as well. And we'll add a little one to this window and a little one to the front window, just to give it that more of a reflective look. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do a little one in these tyres, and a little one on the wheel trim where we left the really light colour. Let's add a highlight to this camera. So I think we'll do a little line here and a little dot over this side. I'm going to do a few little dots on these leaves. We'll add a highlight to this teapot. Make it like a little curved one, and then a little one on the love heart. And then we're going to do one on the top bit of this handle as well. And we'll add one to this guitar. And then for the background, what I'm going to do is go ahead and add some little white dots into the background so that it matches the other ones that we've done on this page. So I'm going to do some bigger ones and then some little tiny dots. Some of it's quite small, so you won't have room to do the bigger dots, so just do little tiny dots in there instead. Okay, so that's it, you guys. That's our finished little picture. So I'll just bring you up so that you can see the picture as a whole. Hopefully, if I can get the angle right. There we go, and that's our finished page. So I hope you guys have enjoyed doing this colour along with me. I've had lots of fun doing it, and I look forward to the next one. So just to say again, happy Boxing Day, and I hope you have a really good New Year's Eve, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.